Hello. Contemplating the laws of cause and effect, we all understand that we have choices in our lives, and increasingly so, sometimes just too many. For most of the human history, speech has been the paramount medium to express oneself. Speech was what mostly differentiated individuals, as most other everyday choices like food, clothes, transportation, furniture, weapons were all more or less common and depended upon almost solely upon whether one could afford something. However, in today's world it's different. There are so many modes for expressing ourselves. We are torn or blessed with choices at every step. Most of the choices we make reveal who we are as a person and what constitutes our values and preferences. We give ourselves away by what we wear, how we eat, how we drive, what we buy, the habits we nurture, don't we? Similarly, almost every choice we make and the process of making it have a bearing on our well-being and our happiness. What we experience today is mostly the product of the choices we made earlier, and what we choose to do, think and say in the present will have an impact on our future. By the way, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so now to continue receiving life's useful information. Thank you. So making a choice, small or big, involves making a decision. We have to make a number of decisions every day. Most of these decisions are either insignificant or clear-cut. The decisions that weigh the most on us are those where the stakes are high and the decision-making process is complicated. To develop the skill of making such decisions, you have to develop a reliable decision-making process. The ability to learn and adopt a sound decision-making process is critical for your sustained happiness, because the better your process, the less stress decision-making will entail for you. Let's see how you can do it. Here are 5 things you can do to develop a sound decision-making mechanism. Number 1. In order to be realistic in your approach and expectations, you need to guard against undue positivity. For doing this, you must avoid 3 inside view fallacies. First, the illusion of superiority. Most of us have an unduly positive view of themselves. For example, most people rate themselves above average in so many respects that it's a mathematical impossibility. Let's say 80% of folks think they are above average drivers. Now that doesn't add up, right? Interestingly, less proficient people generally have a much higher view of what they are capable of than what they really achieve. Well, if you want to know more about it, Google Dunning-Kruger effect and you can get a lot of information. Second, the illusion of optimism. Most of us rate our chances higher than average. This again isn't mathematically possible, right? Third, the illusion of control. Most of us believe ourselves to have greater control of our fate than we actually do. For example, research establishes that when people are given the opportunity to choose the ticket to a lottery, they think they have a greater chance to win than they actually do. Number 2, in order to refine your decision-making skills, you have to learn to include outside view in your decision. So here's a 4-step process that can help. First, find situations that are similar to the one that you're facing. Second, analyze the results in those situations. If all the people who dared to try before you have died rafting at a certain spot in Congo River, no amount of confidence or optimism alone will improve your chances of doing it successfully. It doesn't mean you can't do it, but to improve your chances, you have to do something different from everyone else, don't you? Third, by now you have some relevant data. Based on the data now in your possession, try to make a forecast. This will provide you with a clearer estimation of your chances of success. Mind you, keep the forecast based on cause and effect without mixing it with optimism. Finally, examine the reliability of your forecast and refine it. Number 3, that is the stage in a sound decision making where you guard against being blindsided by a narrow focus. That's a difficult one. After all, we are all humans, aren't we? So how do you do it? Well, here are 5 tips. First, clearly contemplate all your options. Remember, the most obvious choice isn't necessarily the best option. Consider less obvious possibilities also. For example, when you're negotiating a price, you usually go in with a clear idea of your ideal deal and your walkaway threshold, don't you? Well, always estimate the same 2 amounts for the party across the table. Second, cross-examine your views. Ask questions whose answers can challenge your views. Value dissenting views whether or not you agree with them. Third, watch out for a hindsight bias. After the event, you tend to think that you knew more about the outcome than you actually did. Look forward and consider all alternatives instead of thinking you knew what was going on looking backward. Fourth, don't make decisions while swayed by emotion. Being emotionally charged undermines your ability to make sound decisions. In such instances, defer decisions till you regain emotional composure. And finally, understand your motivation. Your latent motives can twist your decisions. Number 4, don't blindly depend on the so-called experts. The internet and powerful computing have now significantly enhanced the knowledge of the masses. And the ability of the experts to add value in their forecasts is fast diminishing. Make use of modern technology to improve your understanding of the issues affecting your decision. In most areas, computers can provide you with better insight than an expert. Studies have proved that in a wide majority of probabilistic situations, including the stock market and the economy, a diverse crowd's average forecast is more accurate than that of the experts. Why is that so? It's because experts tend to estimate subjective future performances based on objective measures, whereas the crowd is closer to the reality. Be scientific, cut out that hunch crap, please. Yes, intuition does evoke a mystic charm by becoming irrelevant in the fast-changing and increasingly complex world you live in. Focus instead on training your experiential systems through practice, information, and quality feedback. How do we do it? Let me give you 3 tips. First, supplement expert opinion with other methods. Don't be blindsided by what seems obvious. Look at a range of solutions and try to connect the problem with the most suitable solution. Second, stitch together diverse sources of information. And for a lot of vital decisions, diversity in the sources of information is central at both the personal and group level. Third, use technology to take advantage of pertinent information that's available. Believe me, in many instances, what you lack is simply the awareness that data is out there. Number 5, be aware of the circumstantial influences. Evidence shows that your decisions are greatly influenced by your circumstances. You need to be aware of subconscious influences on your decision making. And you must have the skill to make good decisions despite subconscious influences. There are so many of them. Social pressure, because someone knows something you don't, or the desire to conform influences your decision. Then your emotions or how you feel about something also influence your decision. So how do you guard against such subconscious influences? I'll give you 6 powerful tips to build your skill to decide independently of the circumstance. First, be aware of your situation. You need this awareness of your situation to muster motivation to deal with its influences and to focus on the process. Second, evaluate others' decisions by beginning with the situation before focusing on the individual. An individual you look up to may have made a certain decision but in totally different circumstances than what you are faced with. Got it? Okay. Third, be wary of mindlessly imitating what peers are doing. Citibank CEO Chuck Prince, in an interview in 2007, showed how you can act in tune with peer pressure despite an understanding of the situation. In an interview with the Financial Times, Prince said, and mind you, this is 2007, when the music stops, things will be complicated, but as long as the music is playing, you've got to get up and dance. The rest is history. Fourth, critically review your decision-making process to avoid inflexibility in the face of the evidence that change is needed. Fifth, when faced with new situations, don't infer from prior successful experiences. And last, finally, be aware of the causality trap. Carefully examine the link between the cause and effect. We have a tendency to make up a cause for the effects we see. I hope this leaves you some good advice to develop a reliable decision-making process. I know you have some tricks of your own up your sleeve. Let others learn from your insight about making good decisions. Share that in the comments below, please. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. See you next time.